All right. Tonight we have Cathy K. She's going to speak for us. She's seen me. She's seen me, and she's always loved me. She's always given me love. I've always trusted her. I mean, that's just, I don't know. It is what it is. It's the program. So she's going to share. And without further ado, Cathy, thank you.
Thank you. Here, everybody. Cathy, I'm an addict. I want to thank this facility and Adam for inviting me to share my experience, strength, and hope, because this is my experience, strength, and hope, and that's all I got to give. And I like to say that my clean date is April 22nd, 2005. I've had the same sponsor for 18 years. I'm on my almost at the end of my third round of step work. I have a service commitment at a facility like this over in Portsmouth. I've been in service since the day I got out of rehab. And today, my higher power is a higher power and not my probation officer. Because that's what it was when I first came along here. I know exactly what you're all feeling in here because I've been in 2 of these places. Thank God. I didn't feel that way at the time, but today, thank God. And like the reading of Who's an Addict, that's me. I don't know who else can identify with it, but I lived to use and used to live, and it took me to jails and institution. And the last time I was in jail in 2005, waiting on a bed at a rehab, is when I had what I didn't realize at the time was a spiritual awakening in the fact that I was standing in the cell block and it was visiting day and the women were getting ready for visitors. I never wanted a visitor. I was so humiliated. And they had toilet paper rolls in their hair and Cheeto dust for lipstick. And I don't say that to say I'm better than or less than anybody. What really struck me was when I looked at them, they seemed resigned to this was going to be their life. And I thought, this can't be my life. I have 3 sons. I have a fiance. I have a life out there that I had given up on. That moment, I made a decision that I was going to do everything I could do, my will. And I didn't know anything about God's will or higher power's will. My will, which never really worked before, that I was going to do everything I needed to do not to use again. I come from a family of recovery. My parents were alcoholics. My life always started out with insanity and unmanageability and 7 kids and chaos and drugs and alcohol and you name it. So I grew up already feeling less than, like nothing, worthless, never going to amount to shit. That's why I used. That's why I started using, is to numb. Because in my mind, the disease of addiction told me that when I drank and used drugs, I was good. I was way better than that person that was clean. That's a disease of addiction. It tells me things that are not true to keep me caught up in the grips. I was a liar and a thief and a manipulator. I was verbally abusive. And I am not those things today. I am a very grateful recovering addict in the sense that you could have never told me I would have the things I have today. And I'm not talking about materialistic things. I'm talking about a freedom to be able to love myself, love other human beings, not expect things from people, be of service. I have peace like I never thought I would have in my life. And I protect that fiercely because I never had peace in my life. My life was complete chaos and unmanageability. At the end of my road, I didn't care if I died. I can remember laying in bed at night, feeling my heart slow and being absolutely okay with that. I didn't care because the spiritual bankruptcy, the bankruptcy of personal growth, the bankruptcy of anything within me was so painful. I just kept using and using to just be numb. The fear of change, the fear of not having the next one would put me into a spiral which led to stealing and lying and manipulating, whatever it took. I had some not yets when I came around here, but someone told me in a meeting, if you don't stay clean, those yets are right around the corner. And I believe what I heard when I came into the rooms in Narcotics Anonymous. I'm not one of those addicts that came in thinking everybody is full of shit or everybody is high and they're just lying and, this and the other thing. What I came in is believing what I heard because I watched, especially the other women who had families and a life and jobs. And I wanted what they had. What I didn't realize is if someone had 20 years, I wanted 20 years right there. Like I wanted everything they had, but I wanted it now. I didn't want to do the work. I always looked for the easier, softer way out. It's not how it works in Narcotics Anonymous. All I needed to do when I got here was not use one day at a time. And I'm not going to sit here and say it was easy. For the first 9 months, I wanted to kill somebody. I wanted to use every minute of every day. What I do, I went to meetings. I called people. I would wake up at 2:00 in the morning and think, why did I get rid of that stash that was in my linen closet? And I would get on the phone at 2:00 in the morning, someone would pick up. And I would sit out on my deck and just talk until I felt like I could go back to sleep and be okay till the next meeting. Like I lived my life for the first probably 2 years core meeting. Because when I wasn't in a meeting, I didn't like what I was feeling. When I was in a meeting, people got me. They knew exactly where I was coming from. And all I had to do was raise my hand and say, I want to use, and this shit is pissing me off. And someone always grabbed me after a meeting, come have a cup of coffee. So I wouldn't have to just be by myself with my thoughts. I did time in the military and did my best drinking in the military. Did crazy stuff over in Bahrain and getting in cabs by myself in the middle of the night, trashed. And I think back now and I'm like, anything could happen. I was a user that just whatever you gave me, I wanted more of. I was one of those people like, I don't like that particular drug. If that was the only thing there was, then that's what I was going to use. I used because of how I felt. And I was an addict in the making when I was young. But I was going down to the corner store, 7, 8, 9, and stealing straight cakes. We had them at home, but I was one of 7, and the likelihood that I could get more than one was not good. And I wanted more. So I'd go down and steal. I knew that something was not right with our family because when I went to my friend's house, they didn't live like you're living. My father was superintendent of schools, and on the outside, everything looked great. Come in my house, and it was complete and utter insanity. I learned how to dress myself up when I walked out of that house and act as if. I knew that I was less than and no good when the cheerleaders, who all had straight blonde hair and perfect white teeth and were thin, and I was kind of chubby and had a space in my teeth and naturally curly, crazy hair. I immediately discounted myself as being worthy of anything on that day. And I started drinking on that day. I was a chameleon. I could fit in with anybody. What that was is what you could give me. If this group could give me more than this group could give me, then I was over here. If I felt like that was the most popular crowd and I could fit in somehow, I was going to try to weave my way in there. And I was good at it for a long time, for a really long time. But I hated everything about me. So I just used more. Drinking and driving, blacked out of my mind and driving, drinking and driving with my kids in the car, high as gas with my kids in the car. I used to think I was a good mother because I didn't have my kids taken away from me. And after I started doing some step work, I had a lot of amends to make to my board because I was not a good mother. I was a rager, especially if you were interfering with my high. Get out of my way. And I'm telling you, it's a painful process, but it's the process that got me where I am today with the relationship that I have with all 3 of my sons. You could have never told me I would have. You could have never told me that I am the one today that they come to when they're on the ledge, when they're like, just don't know what to do, when their life is showing up. My middle son took after his mom and was in a motorcycle accident 4 years ago. And I got a call from Norfolk General, driving down Colley Avenue, and I see his bike in front of the police park on the ground. His helmet's on the other side of the day. And it felt like it took me 9 hours down to get to Norfolk General. He quit drinking and drugging that day, and tomorrow he's going to be pinned as a registered nurse. At the same hospital where they took him to.
That's great.
And he's shared with me some of the people that have come in the same condition. And he said, I just remember you telling me that just love them. Just love them. It's one of the best advice I got from when people in Narcotics Anonymous, when it came to my guilt and shame about my children. And I just knew they were going to be addicts all their life. And I knew they were going to hate me all their lives. And they just kept saying, just keep telling them you love them. And I had to let them go and put them in God's hands and hope that he did for them what he did for me. And I'm blessed when it comes to that. I see, young people in here. I used to say, I wish I got this when I was young. It just wasn't meant for me to get this when I was young. That's all I can say. I'm grateful I got it when I got it. I got clean at the age of 45. It's not attractive being shackled and handcuffed at the age of 45. Drugs took me to places that I just never thought I would go. And with 19 years clean, there are still days. This disease does not go away. And if I don't stay on top of it, if I don't stay on top of my recovery, for me, which means I go to meetings. I still go to meetings at least 3 times a week. I do a service commitment. I work steps. I sponsor other women. When someone asks me to be of service, if I could do it, I do it. I have to give back what was so freely given to me because it's given to me freely. No one in my life expects anything from me when they give me something. And I'm not talking material. When I make a phone call because I'm struggling, it's not just about using. The disease manifests itself in many, many ways for me. I still suffer from low self-esteem. I still suffer from feelings of worthlessness some days. Some days, not every day. This may not ring true to a lot of you young people, but I was really struggling the day I got a Medicare card in the mail. I was like, how the frick did this happen? I'm going to be 65 next month. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell? And I would like to retire, but I can't retire right now because I didn't get my shit together fast enough. But I remember to be grateful that I have a job where they trust me. I have keys to their building. I manage their money and payroll. You could have never told me because I would have been stealing all that shit. Any job I had, I robbed. I used to try to get jobs, particularly at pharmacies back in the day because it was easy to steal back then. I always had a plan, a manipulation. And today I don't have to do that. Today when I wake up as a grateful addict and ask God to help keep me clean just for today. Just for today. The best thing I ever did when I got out of treatment was go to a meeting that same night. I had been in jail for almost a month again, went to rehab for another month, hadn't seen my family, nothing. And I walked in the door from rehab, and my then fiance's parents said, we're so glad you're home. We're all going to sit down and watch the Dr. Phil special on addiction. I said, I'm going to a meeting. Because the ironic thing is they're all sitting down watching TV, having a cocktail. I went home from rehab to a fully stocked bar, a kegerator in the den, and a fully stocked refrigerator out back filled with beer. And I stayed clean. My desire to want to stop using was greater than my desire to use it. Talks about there's a reading we call it when at the end of the road. My end of the road put me right back to jail. It almost killed me. In active addiction, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I did not give a shit. I acted like I gave a shit because that's what I was supposed to be. I could have cared less because my disease told me, well, shit, when you die from an overdose, we can just blame it on the breast cancer. I don't know about anybody else, but that's kind of shit my disease tells me. And today, I am almost 20 years cancer-free. Because when I got clean, I started taking care of myself physically. I didn't run from doctors, or I didn't just go see a doctor so I could steal a prescription pad. And the same doctor that saved my life, I had to go see when I got out of rehab. I had to make an immediate amends because I stole so many of her prescriptions. And she knew it. And she loved me anyway. There are some things I've had to face being clean that have been terrifying to me. But with the help of my sponsor, listening to other recovering addicts and their experience in areas, I've been able to get through some of the most painful things without picking up. I may spend a little bit too much money on a pair of shoes, because that's how I fix now. And I buy shoes or clothes or food, or, those are the way my disease manifests itself. But that stuff does not put me in jail. That stuff does not put me in rehab. It took me a long time to clean up my credit. I had crappy credit. My fiance and I split. I was on my own. 2 sons at home still. Broke as hell. Broke. Had a $10 an hour job. Got child support. And I remember one day having $1.27 in my checking account and about another 8 days till payday.
Oh.
And I don't know how the hell it happened. We never went without. Not one thing. Gas in my car to get to work. My kids were fed. I had a roof over my head. I don't know. Next year, I hope to start my own business. I'm going to call it 127. These are all the lot of dreams that they talk about in our literature that have awakens. I didn't know when I got my first job clean. I didn't know I could do an email, but I didn't even know what that paperclip meant at the bottom. I didn't know anything about attachments. I didn't know anything. I could form an email and I could write well, but I didn't know what else to do on a computer. So like with anything else, I asked for help. And now I'm helping other people learn how to work Excel spreadsheets and do all those things. You could have never told me that this kind of stuff was going to happen in my life. The possibilities when we stay clean one day at a time are just amazing. Don't sell yourself short. When I look at addicts, when I think of what we do to get high, we're some of the smartest people. You're some very, very intelligent people. It doesn't necessarily mean we have a diploma from whatever. I remember one of the women I was sponsoring, and I was working at a hair salon at the time, washing hair. She said, I have a master's degree in education and I'm washing hair. I said, the disease doesn't care what you have.
Okay. Sure.
The disease does not care if you have a master's degree or if you are picking up trash on the side of the road. It doesn't care. And she struggled for years to stay clean because of ego. Our ego will kill us every time. I had to get real humble and real quick. I have lost a sister in this process. I just lost a brother-in-law. We're at 49 years old. And the turnout of people who came to see him at his wake was just amazing. The effect he had on that AA community or recovery community. And I'm an NA person. NA works for me. But AA saved a lot of people in my life. And it planted the seed. Like I knew what to do when I was ready to stop using because of those people that came before me. The gentleman I was living with he relapsed and just could not get clean again. And yesterday was 2 years that he overdosed and died. Because that's one of the options when we use is death. And the stuff out there today is no joke. I walk into my house today and it's mine. It's got my own stuff in it. Like I've never had a place that's been so peaceful and clean and organized. Like when I feel chaos coming into my life, I retreat. I have no room for chaos in my life. When I finally found that inner peace and then made my outer world peaceful, can't get me to go back. No way. If you're going to be in my life, you can't bring a bunch of chaos. This program works. But when I got here, they said, there are some things you have to do. They told me I have to. I did what if they told me to stand outside with a sign that said I was an asshole, that's exactly what I was going to do. I didn't care. I was so afraid of using and going back down that path, I get emotional because I remember what it feels like at the end of the road. When I went to jail last time, and I was talking about the shackles, I think these two deputies were trying to make me realize what I was doing. So instead of taking me through the tunnel into the court, they shackled me and handcuffed me and walked me around and up Main Street in Norfolk. I was so humiliated. 9:00 in the morning, right there at the courthouse, thinking, why are they doing it? I was humiliated. Like, I remember all those things. When the thought of using come, I remember that stuff. I can still smell the jail cell. I can smell it. I can picture it. I can smell the soap. I can feel the jumpsuit. I don't forget. Because I don't ever, if I go in jail now, it's because I'm bringing an H&I. And I still know the sound, the keys and all that shit. I don't forget. Because if I forget, I'm doomed to repeat. This program has saved my life and given me a life I never thought I'd have. I can drive with a license now instead of driving on a suspended license. The only thing that's in my cup holder when I drive is a cup of coffee, not a rum and coke. I don't have to stash my drums in any. I have stashes all over the place. And it's exhausting keeping up and finding ways to get more. I wake up every morning. Okay, I got this much left. Okay, I'm going to need some by the end of the day. And that trying to do that is still get back and act like the perfect mother to pick kids up from school. I was a PTA president for elementary school, and I was in their bathroom snorting before the PTA. I could definitely dress up the outside, but I was completely bankrupt. It's exhausting trying to be something you're not, finding A's and needs to get more every day. I'm grateful God made me what picked me to stay alive. And I hope that I've given somebody something to take with them. And if there's one thing I can tell you that works, is if you go to a meeting with me against God. And I'm saying, I don't care if it's Christmas Day. You can always find an excuse not to go to a meeting. That's a definite 90 meetings in 90 days. Get some numbers. Find a sponsor. Get a home group. I met the most amazing people in these meetings. People I never thought I would cross paths with, who have saved my life. And now we're talking about change. I'll finish up with change. Well, change is coming my way. I want to do some things. I'm going on a cruise in March. You could have never told me that was going to happen. I want to do some things with my life, but some of them are really scary. This change that's coming in my life is very scary. But what I do is I talk about it. Because when I sit in it and I don't share it with anybody or voice it, I will procrastinate, which is my biggest character defect. Procrastination. Like, just because, I don't know about you, but I was using everything was fuck it, I'll worry about it later. And I can still do that. I know I need to do this, but I would worry about it maybe. And then later comes and I'm like, well, shit, here it is. It's going to show up one way or another. So for me, I hope everybody in this place gets this way about it. When they told me in rehab, there was about 12 of us women living in this one house. And they said, one of you might get this. I was like, well, it's going to be me. And all the other women, 2 of them are dead and 2 of the other are still used. In and out. And all I can do is pray for them and pick up the phone when they call me. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for letting me share.